A few months ago, the company behind the most famous AI product on the planet posted a loss of nearly $39 billion in a single year. Not a projection, an actual reported loss. There was just one problem. 900 million people were using its product every single week. By every normal measure, this was the fastest growing product in tech history. By every financial measure, it was one of the least sustainable. And its biggest partner, Microsoft, was already quietly training its own models to replace it. So how did the two companies that convinced the world AI would change everything become two of the most financially fragile players in the industry they created? Okay, so around the same time OpenAI was posting that loss, something smaller but far more revealing was happening in courtrooms across America. In the first 3 months of this year alone, judges handed out more than $145,000 in fines to lawyers who had filed briefs written with the help of AI. The documents cited court cases that never happened. They quoted judges who never said those words. One law firm submitted 15 fake case citations and 8 fabricated quotes across 3 separate filings, and nobody caught it until the other side did. A retired judge in California admitted he almost let fabricated citations slip straight into an official court order before he noticed something was off. This is the exact same failure that took down a $290,000 government consulting report a few years back, just with a different logo attached. Except this time, the tool making things up isn't a side character in the story. It's the entire product. It's the thing OpenAI and Microsoft have spent the last 3 years telling the world would replace lawyers, replace consultants, replace analysts, replace almost everyone. For a while, that pitch worked better than anyone could have predicted. OpenAI and Microsoft built one of the most talked about partnerships in corporate history, worth well over $100 billion on paper. But today, that partnership is starting to strain in public. Regulators on 2 continents are actively investigating it. And the economics underneath both companies are a lot shakier than the hype would have you believe. So how did the 2 names most responsible for the AI boom end up looking this fragile, this fast? Let's start with the money, because the numbers are almost hard to believe. In 2025, OpenAI brought in about $13 billion in revenue. That sounds massive, until you see the other side of the ledger. Costs and expenses came in at roughly $34 billion. The operating loss alone was close to $21 billion. And once everything else was factored in, OpenAI's net loss for the year landed at around $38.5 billion. To put that in perspective, OpenAI lost almost $3 for every $1 it made. And it did that while ChatGPT was adding users faster than almost any consumer product in history. 900 million weekly users, 50 million of them paying. Growth like that used to be the entire story. Now it's only half of it. The other half is a company burning through cash at a rate that would sink almost any other business on the planet. Microsoft, on paper, looks like the stable one. Fiscal year 2025 revenue was up about 15%, operating income up 17%. Solid numbers. But look closer and the cracks start to show. Microsoft's cloud gross margin has been sliding, down to around 69%. And the company has said outright that the cost of scaling AI infrastructure is the reason why. Every ChatGPT-style answer, every Copilot suggestion, every AI-generated slide, all of it runs on physical servers that cost real money to build and run. Microsoft has been spending tens of billions building that capacity, and Wall Street has started asking, out loud, when it actually starts paying for itself. The honest answer is nobody fully knows yet. Multiple surveys, including Gartner's, have found that large-scale adoption of Microsoft 365 Copilot inside real companies is still far from guaranteed. CNBC reported that despite Microsoft's massive distribution advantage, actually getting enterprises to use Copilot at scale has been an uphill climb. Meanwhile, Microsoft has cut jobs, including a reduction of roughly 4,800 positions, hitting divisions like Xbox particularly hard. even as the company pours money into AI. That's not what a business firing on all cylinders usually looks like. Now, to understand why two companies with this much cash and this much hype are struggling this visibly, you have to go back to how this partnership actually got built, because it mirrors something we've seen before in corporate history. Back in 2019, Microsoft made a bet nobody outside the industry paid much attention to. It invested in a research lab called OpenAI, giving it access to Microsoft's cloud infrastructure in exchange for a stake in the company and exclusive rights to its technology. At the time, this looked like a smart, relatively low-risk partnership. Microsoft got a front-row seat to cutting-edge AI research without having to build it all in-house. OpenAI got the computing power it desperately needed to train increasingly large models. Then, ChatGPT launched at the end of 2022, and everything changed. Within 2 months, it had 100 million users, the fastest adoption of any consumer app in history at that point. Microsoft leaned in hard, eventually investing around $13 billion total, and folding OpenAI's models directly into Windows, Office, and a new product line called Copilot. For a while, the story practically wrote itself. Microsoft had the money and the distribution. OpenAI had the technology everyone wanted. Together, they looked unstoppable. But here's the thing about partnerships built this fast, on this much hype. They tend to paper over structural problems instead of solving them, and eventually those problems surface. And in this case, the same conflict of interest that broke the auditing industry decades ago is quietly playing out again, just in a different form. Think about what Microsoft actually is in this relationship. It's OpenAI's largest investor. It's also OpenAI's cloud provider, earning revenue every single time someone uses ChatGPT. And at the same time, it's building its own competing models called MAI, designed specifically to reduce how much it needs OpenAI at all. As of this month, Microsoft has quietly started routing everyday tasks inside Excel and Outlook away from OpenAI and Anthropic and toward its own in-house models instead, specifically to cut costs. Microsoft's own AI chief has said publicly that the long-term goal is to reduce and eventually eliminate how much the company spends on outside AI providers altogether. So Microsoft is simultaneously OpenAI's biggest financial backer, its primary distribution partner, and a company actively building the technology meant to replace it. That's not a hypothetical conflict of interest. That's the business model. Regulators have noticed. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission has an active antitrust investigation examining whether Microsoft's relationship with OpenAI reduced competition in AI, including scrutiny over Microsoft scaling back its own independent AI research after investing in OpenAI in the first place. In Europe, EU antitrust regulators have been formally examining whether exclusivity clauses in the Microsoft-OpenAI deal are locking out smaller AI competitors. A group of consumers has also filed an antitrust class action against Microsoft directly over the arrangement. The UK's competition regulator did eventually clear the partnership, but only after specifically noting that OpenAI had started reducing its reliance on Microsoft for computing power. And even then, UK regulators said Microsoft still holds what they called a high level of material influence over OpenAI's business decisions. This is the exact same pattern that took down the old consulting giants. One company ends up on both sides of a relationship that's supposed to have a wall in the middle, and once regulators and the public notice, the trust that the entire business was built on starts to erode. And just like the audit and consulting industry, the reason this got so deeply entangled in the first place comes down to control over scarce resources. Decades ago, it was reputation and access to top graduates. Today, it's compute. Training and running frontier AI models requires an almost unimaginable amount of computing power, the kind that only a small handful of companies on Earth can actually afford to build. That naturally pushes the entire industry toward a small number of tightly linked giants. Exactly the kind of concentration regulators are now trying to unwind. Now here's where it gets even messier, because the product itself is running into the same credibility problem the old consulting industry eventually hit. Remember those court sanctions from earlier? Those weren't isolated incidents. Since ChatGPT's release, courts across the United States have handed down dozens of sanctions against lawyers for submitting AI-generated filings containing fake case law, fabricated quotes, and citations to hearings that never took place. Judges have suspended attorneys from practicing law over it. Some of these cases involved OpenAI's own tools directly. The pattern is almost identical to the fake government report from a few years back. Professionals trusting an AI-generated document enough to put their name on it without checking whether any of it was actually real. This matters because the entire pitch behind ChatGPT and Copilot was never just that AI could write things quickly. It was that AI could be trusted to do serious, high-stakes work reliably. And the more that trust gets tested in public, in courtrooms, in enterprise deployments where Copilot adoption is still described as uncertain, the harder it becomes to justify the enormous valuations both companies are carrying. And this raises the same question the old consulting industry eventually had to face. If the two companies that built the AI boom are this financially strained and this legally exposed, what actually fills the space they leave behind? The most obvious answer is that the market gets less concentrated, not more. For the last 3 years, OpenAI and Microsoft have acted like the AI race was mainly a two-horse story, with everyone else playing catch-up. That's no longer true. Google has been folding its own frontier models directly into products used by billions of people, without needing anyone else's infrastructure. Anthropic has become serious enough competition that Microsoft's own AI chief specifically named cutting spending on it as a company goal. Open source models have closed the performance gap enough that plenty of companies are now running serious AI workloads without paying either OpenAI or Microsoft a cent. At the same time, Microsoft's own strategy is quietly admitting the old model doesn't hold up. Building MAI models to reduce reliance on OpenAI only makes sense if Microsoft genuinely believes it can't keep paying OpenAI's prices forever. That's not the behavior of a company confident in its partner's long-term pricing power. It's the behavior of a company hedging against it. None of this means OpenAI disappears or Microsoft stumbles. It means the exclusive, two-company grip on the AI narrative is loosening. The same way the Big Four's grip on audits and consulting loosened once clients realized cheaper, credible alternatives existed. So where does this actually leave us? Not with OpenAI or Microsoft vanishing overnight. Let's be clear about that. OpenAI still has by far the most recognizable AI product on the planet. Microsoft still has more cash and more distribution than almost any company in history. Neither of them is going anywhere in the short term. But the story being sold to investors for the last 3 years, that this partnership was a clean, unstoppable machine printing the future, that story is falling apart in real time. OpenAI is growing users faster than almost anyone in history, and losing money faster than almost anyone in history at the same time. Microsoft is profitable, but its own AI chief is openly talking about eliminating spending on the very partners that built its current AI products. Regulators on both sides of the Atlantic are actively investigating whether the entire arrangement was designed to limit competition rather than create it. And the product both companies are betting everything on is still generating headline-making failures in courtrooms across the country. This isn't really a collapse story yet. It's a story about a valuation built on a narrative finally meeting the numbers underneath it. And if the last few decades of corporate history have taught us anything, it's that once the public and the regulators both start asking the same uncomfortable question at the same time, the businesses built on trust alone rarely come out the other side looking the way they went in.